Колеги, ми продовжуємо робочий день. Тема наступної
Our next press conference, issues in the work of the Security Service of Ukraine. Chief of Staff at the Security Service of Ukraine, Oleksandr Tkachuk. The floor is yours. Thank you all. Good afternoon. Probably the most topical issue today, and that is what is of interest for everyone, is detention near Kiev of the member of NGO Azov Krasnova and Madam Shelist at night from the 27th to 28th of February, approximately between the 1st and 2nd a.m. Mr. Krasnov, together with Shelist, were detained at the gas station immediately after they put things into the hiding place near Shishliva at the highway Kiev-Kharkiv. Krasnov was trying to run away from that place, and he was resisting law enforcers, so during detention they had to apply force. Immediately after the detention, accompanied by investigators and operative works, Krasnov was returned to the place of hiding place where the investigatory activities were carried out. In the hiding place, they discovered and confiscated plastic explosive, which was equivalent to 42 kilograms of trotyl. That's like 7 anti-tank mines. Also, the 5 cases of grenades were confiscated and 10 detonators. I would like to mention that before Krasnov was detention, there was a judicial investigation during which some investigatory activities were carried out, and the result of such activities allow us to say that there's direct evidence that he was involved into illegal activities. It was found out that the grenades and the explosives Krasnov took out from another hiding place, which was prepared for him by persons whose names are practically known already to the investigators. The hiding place was organized at the highway Odessa-Kiev in Stavyshinsky district of Kiev region. Later we will demonstrate the video from the video registrator. After was made automatically after Krasnov, together with his accomplices, was leaving the place from where he took out the explosives, and he was commenting what he was doing before that. We can say that it's known already, but we would like to officially say that on the 28th of February, it was informed to Krasnov that he is suspected in committing crime, and searches and other investigatory activities were carried out, during which the elements of self-made explosives were confiscated, as well as computer equipment, where the investigators found the evidence that Krasnov was involved into illegal activities. Our investigators have followed all the requirements of the Criminal Code of Procedures as to providing the services of the lawyer to Krasnov. And during the 72 hours, according to the legislation, the court will select the preventive measure versus Krasnov. Also, I would like to say that according to the confirmed operative data, Krasnov directly transferred to Russian side the list of Azov regiment. And in the period from the 10th to 13th of February, Last time was in Belarus, where he met with his Russian curator. Krasnov is connected to Russian side since 2014, and during this last meeting they were discussing issues related to possible use of the explosives which were confiscated in the outskirts of Kiev. We know the name of that person, the citizen of Russian Federation, who is the curator of Mr. Krasnov, and the investigation has other materials which will be which we will make public after the investigators allow to make them public. It's not the first, not the last. That was not the first time when Krasnov went to Belarus. In 2015, he visited Belarus twice with the same objective that last time. Also, you all know that Krasnov is accused in another case related to the crime which is illegal holding of weapons. As you know, in May of 2014, there were investigatory activities conducted in the house of Krasnov, and there was some just the whole arsenal of weapons, armaments found out there. In July 2014, Krasnov was liberated, and then he joined the volunteers movement. This case became quite an allowed case, and that is what surprises the Security Service of Ukraine when the Security Service arrests own employees, colonels, or lieutenant colonels, then no one pays so much attention. In December 2014, the Security Service detained the employee of Security Service in Donetsk region. He is accused in giving the confidential classified information to the opponents, and also the colonel of Security Service was detained who was working as the informator for militants, and these cases were not considered to be a political contract of the Security Service versus themselves. When they find 30 kilograms of explosive, some people interpret it as a political contract. And Vasil Gritsak mentioned several times that the place for explosives and for weapons is where the war is going on. More than 30 employees of the Security Service of Ukraine were arrested for bribes or for work against their motherland in the interests of Russian special services. Same way, many criminals were arrested in other law enforcement bodies and other state bodies. And that is why we cannot say that the volunteer activities movement has some immunity against some persons who have bad intentions. And that is the position of principle, that peaceful places should remain peaceful. And this position coincides with the position of the leadership of Azov Regiment. We can show some quotes from information that was in mass media. For example, the commandership of Azov Regiment says that the place of patriots with weapons is in the east of Ukraine. No. Also, the commandership of Azov says that some commanders they make us doubt. They do not understand that monopoly for violence is only what the state should have, and the citizens have the right for self-defense. We continue to cooperate with all the activists and volunteers with all volunteer battalions. This is our common case, common work in 2014, 2015, together with the Azov regiment, battalion, we organized many arrests, detentions of terrorists and informers of Russian special services. In October, one member of National Guard was detained, and also the member of Azov regiment was detained. In the morning, the head of security service and the head of the main investigatory department met with the commandership of the regiment, and they gave the information which the investigator allowed them. We know that commandership of the regiment did not know about illegal intentions of Krasnov. And as I have mentioned, since 2014, this person is in contact with Russian special services. One of his tasks was to prepare the killing of one of activists who is now in Kherson region at the administrative border with the Administrative Republic of Crimea. And the Russian special services were planning to use this situation to destabilize the situation in this region, to instigate the provocations, and so that Russian machine could have the opportunity to invade the territory of Kherson region. The responsibility for such actions would be the responsible for that would be Azov regiment and activists. That is all we wanted to share with you. I'm ready to answer your questions.
And also we can show a video that was confiscated in search of car of and this is a video registration of his car, and the investigators now study this video, and we would like to show one of the episodes. And it was right after it was confiscated from the hiding place in Kiev Oblast. Please show us video. 700 meters. A man, 40 kilograms. You're quick. You were running. 800 meters. We should draw it. You should put it from your bag. Give me that. Let's go to Kiev. Of course, but where can I turn? Maybe somewhere here. I wanted to start the car. First, he explained, but it was in other place. A woman. I have my fingers hurt. Did you replace it? It looks like plastic. Look at the marking.
On the way.
What? 2 meters. A bag is not big, but heavy. 2, 3. 1 is big and 2 small ones. one is smaller. So this video will be available on our site. You can download it if you want to. Thank you for your attention. And now questions. Please introduce yourself first. Radio Liberty, Crime Really. And as I understood, Mr. Krasnov, he is in the investigation, and he is waiting for his case to be heard in the court. And he was transporting explosives. And in connection with this, how can you assess IQ of this person and his curators from Special Services of Russia? Everything looked rather optimistic for Mr. Krasnov because he was under investigation, but this case was considered for some time, and there were no conditions for his arrest, and one of the and he was rather in good condition, and he couldn't even imagine that at that moment he was under that we monitored the situation. So as to assessment of Russian special services assessment, they take every opportunity to harm, and both in the occupied territories and in the territory of Ukraine, Chernomorka company. And did he confirm that it was his explosive? Thank you for your question. I can't tell you this, and the evidence that were provided by Mr. Krasnov, now the investigation does not allow us to give you this information, but then he was detained, and when he was brought to the place where he was hiding some things, we think that he did it by his own hands. And FSB came to Crimea to his mother, and there was a big resonance of this case. So thank you for your question. I don't know whether they came to his mother, these FSB officers, but this is the image of the person that is prosecuted. Russian special services can work in this respect comprehensively and with understanding, and to create an image that this person is, that he is an outsider and he is prosecuted by Russian services. It's not difficult to create such a situation. Lulia Stets, Hromadske TV. And Oleksandr Kostenko is close to this person and have close relationship with this person. So if people are, maybe it's difficult to believe that this person is involved in subversive activities. We know that there's some sort of blockade. And what is the question actually? That this person told about his motivation, that he suffers from Russian aggression in Crimea, and his relatives also suffer, and it turns out that he is cooperating with Russian services. I can't understand your answer. So you say that he suffers because his friend was detained by FSB. Right, he maybe says so. But it's too early to speak about this. Let's wait for results of the investigation. About motivation, it's not easy to say about motivation of the person. Investigators should understand what was the motivation from the very start to the end. Interchannel, there was an information that together with Krasnov, Ms. Shelest was detained also. Can you prove this information, and what are accusations towards her? Right, she was detained, and her voice, you could hear her voice in the video. She was at that time there at the moment of Krasnov's detention, when he she was present in Stavishinsky region, and she was discussing with him what is going on. So we can't say that she didn't know anything. It's very difficult to say so. And the investigators should study her role in those actions in which Mr. Krasnov is suspected. The same suspicion relates to her. The question is, Stanislav Krasnov lost his conscience and he couldn't speak. And the first question is, when SBU will stop to torture people? And also he is the leader of the blockade from Azov regiment, the blockade of Crimea, I mean. And till what time will SBU cooperate with the FSB? I can only comment on that what concerns the beating of Mr. Krasnov. After he hid these things in his hiding place, he started to flee from there, and then our officers caught him at the gas station. And they tried to stop him in order to detain him. And he refused to surrender, and there is some physical damage as a result of this, and we can't say that it's very difficult to. If a person do not want to obey to officers, maybe some harm could be done to a person. In Russian language, maybe I will ask you in English. Do you know the weight of this person? He is about 70 kilograms. Maybe it's very difficult to oppose such a person. This is a discussion, some assessment, and maybe it's not interesting for the journalists. Maybe we will provide them with opportunity to ask some questions. As to some actions of Krasnov and his role in the movements and some actions, maybe we should give the opportunity to the investigators to identify what really happened. And believe me, when SB officers are detained, sometimes it's difficult to understand that this person made a state treason and work for the enemy, but unfortunately such cases can happen. One, I have a question. So there's a suspicion that he cooperated with Russian special services, and that the article of the article 263 is incriminated on illegal weapon holding. I thank you for your question. At this moment, we are speaking about suspicion that is envisaged by the law. Part 1, Article 163, and also Article 216 of Till the prosecutor takes the decision to provide the materials to another law enforcement body, we are going to continue with the investigative activities till that moment. And then this case could be requalified, that is incriminated, and some other articles can be added that directly related to the competence of the SBU. So now we are speaking about Article 263. Am I right? Right. You're right. You said that there's you showed us a video. There are two voices of men. Who are the second person? Who is the second person? Can you tell us who is this? And the second question about the case Anastasia Leonova. What are the accusations? What is going there? I can't tell you about this case, but as I know, the investigation is on the way, and now we know that she has a special role in this case. And are there any connections with this case? And what are the connections? What do you mean by saying relation, connection? What is she accused of now? And what is the stage of investigation? Maybe I will inform on that separately, because investigation is on the way, and maybe I will give a separate answer to this next time. And but this case is considered by SBU, right? But maybe it could be taken by the prosecutor's office, so we should verify this information. Thank you. You told us.
You said that in accordance to the legislation, the legal aid was provided to Krasnov. How much time passed from the moment he was detained till the documents were processed, were prepared, and were the documents prepared in the presence of the lawyer? And what's the name of the lawyer? Thank you for the question. The name of the lawyer I do not know. And as to the timing, what was happening that day, that night, we can give you additional information. Now, minute by minute, I don't have that information. But in any case, if the criminal is detained at the place of the crime, and that's what it was, we are talking about hiding some explosives in a hiding place. So immediately the place of events is examined, and that lasted from middle of night till the morning. Can you imagine at 2 a.m. to find the witnesses at the highway Kyiv-Kharkov would be difficult. That was the examination of the place of crime. That was happening not in the presence of the lawyer. I do not know that exactly. I have to clarify that. Any other questions or clarifications? Once you have no more questions, thank you, Oleksandr. That is the end of the press conference. See you again. That was the last press briefing in UCMC. And the schedule for tomorrow will be around 5 p.m.